Going on, everybody? We are talking Tao of the Day. That's right. Tao Te Ching, Monday through Friday, usually in the mornings. This is still morning, relatively. Um, Pardon me while I pick my teeth. Yeah, I've been having a client in the morning on Friday, so I don't do it early in the morning. But I'm here for Tao of the Day. That means what that means for anybody that hasn't joined, you pick a number between 1 and 81, and we talk about your Tao for the day. And Catherine, she knows what it means. That's for sure. We're bringing her on, and we'll start. We'll just get right into it. Catherine, how are you doing?
I'm pretty good. I have allergies, so my voice is a little weird, but
Oh, I have emotion, so my voice is a little weird.
nice.
So
Hmm.
do we have a number burning inside of you today?
I have two numbers.
Mm. Well, let's see
But I
if we
think
can
it's I
do
think it's 38. I think it's 38.
38. 38 is good. Oh, this is a
48
long one.
was kind of an early one, but then 38 kind of jumped in. So,
Oh, this is a longer one, but it is it starts out beautifully. Let's see where it goes. The master doesn't try to be powerful. Thus, he is truly powerful. The ordinary man keeps reaching for power. Thus, he never has enough. The master does nothing, yet he leaves nothing undone. The ordinary man is always trying things, is always doing things, yet many more things are left to be done. The kind man does something, yet something remains undone. The just man does something and leaves many things to be done. The moral man does something, and when no one responds, he rolls up his sleeves and uses force. When the Tao is lost, there is goodness. When goodness is lost, there is morality. When morality is lost, there is ritual. Ritual is like the husk of true faith, the beginning of chaos. Therefore, the master concerns himself with the depths and not the surface, with the fruit and not the flower. He has no will of his own. He dwells in reality and lets all illusions go.
whoa.
Bum, bum, bum.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, so we're
Mm.
not gonna be able to get through the whole thing in 12 minutes, but
Let's
let's just take
let's chunk it out.
yeah, let's chunk it out. The first part is the master doesn't try to be powerful, thus he is truly powerful. The ordinary man keeps reaching for power, thus he never has enough. What do you
Well,
think?
I mean, that so interesting because I see that like playing out on the in the world right now
Yeah.
of um when the way the power is being played right now and everybody trying to figure out the difference between power and the difference between sovereignty and the difference between you know who has power, what power they should have, and it's really that shaking out of that individual. You have sovereignty of yourself. You're not meant to have sovereignty over anyone else or
Right.
anything.
Yeah, that's a big deal. And here, like the master, we can shore that up as being. Pardon me, my phone is not off at the moment. Um, so we could sum that up in a way that is like, who is the master? The master is a sovereign individual, right? Like someone who can lead without being a leader, right? Who can be in the space of being powerful. The ordinary man, someone who's trying to just get along, like
Yep.
is reaching to get ahead in the group, get ahead in the government, or get ahead in the world at large, and
Or
thus
just
he never.
get ahead of whatever is happening to them individual, like just in that moment, their
Right.
emotion, their whatever it is.
Their reaction to the world around them. And yet, when they get
Yes.
to the other side of that, where are they? They're left having to do more because there is
Yep.
always going to be something ahead of you,
Yep.
in front of you, or dealing with you. So That's good. We'll move on to the next section. The master does nothing, yet leaves nothing undone. The ordinary man is always doing things, yet many more are left to be done.
Um, so for me, I feel like the doing, we as individuals, we get caught up in the doing, and there's always some sort of doing, and there's no quiet, there's no like pulling back and looking at how do I have sovereignty. We're just doing, doing, doing. And those that create the doing for us, there's not much energy involved, there's not much involved for them to set up the doing for others when they have the power.
Yeah.
and
And I
and
see
it
this.
creates,
Oh, no, go
yeah,
ahead.
I said that creates this confusion also of what power is.
Right. And the difference between the power that the master has and the power that the ordinary man is trying to achieve.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
The ordinary man is trying to achieve power by doing. And
Yep.
and the master is just like, no, power resides within me. And I
Hmm.
don't, and it's not that they are just sitting and staring at a wall when we say they're doing nothing, but
No.
it is within the act of inspiration that things get done. And they're not trying to, they don't have a checklist of things that they have to do. Yet the ordinary man in this sense is like, oh, I'm always doing, and there's always more to do. It's never actually done. You can always do more. And that's what our world really is pushing, in this idea of like, you really got to work, and it takes this much time, and it takes this much work, and you got to work. And really, a lot of it just kind of like, a lot of it is either dumb luck or whatever, like, or family or whatever, like it's all laced into one another. It's not, like when we start doing stuff, like what is doing, like, and how are
Hmm.
we going to express it?
Yes.
Okay, so we move into a really beautiful part, and this is a part that I really like, and we have to do this kind of line by line. The kind man does something, yet something remains undone. So as we talk about these, we talk about the kind man, the just man, and the moral man. So the kind man does something, and yet something remains undone.
Well, kindness never ends to
Right,
yourself or to others.
right. If you're
It's
being
it
kind, you can always be
Yeah.
kind again to someone else in another way.
Well, and there's always, even just being kind to yourself, which I think you and I both think is so important. That kindness is continuous. There's always something to remind yourself to be kind to yourself, or step back from. And there's always someone who needs just a word of kindness. Just if we just think of it only in that form, it's always a gift. The gift that
Right.
keeps on giving.
Yeah. um, and it never ends, right? There is never
Yeah.
a point where it's like you have finished your work, and when you die, kindness will still be needed, right? And so
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
there is no finishing of that work. The
No.
just man does something and leaves many things to be done. As soon and like this blew my mind a couple years ago, this idea of like what is just, and if you do get to the bottom of one injustice, you've opened the door to many more by defining it. And then you have to you as soon as you do one thing, more things pop up because of that.
Yeah, it's almost like you imagine pulling that string and the whole every thread comes undone in the sweater.
Yeah.
I'm
And
just
if
gonna pull
you
this loose one, and then you're like, "Whoa, whoops, sorry, you're naked."
right, and that's the thing, right? Like with just and with being just and justice, like as soon as you see like, oh, you know what? 1970s and 80s, like gay men are being oppressed, right? And okay, so we're going to like the gay men, like the gay pride like movement started, and then all of a sudden, as soon as we started being like, well, we got to be just to them, we start seeing like, oh wait, it's gay, lesbian, trans, queer, like questioning, like all of a sudden it just keeps getting bigger
Yeah.
rather than just being like, understand that justice is a singular thing, rather than trying to be just in a singular way, right? Like, oh well, let's make this group better, but it's like, no, let's make everybody better, right? Like,
Strangely enough,
and
it leans
seeing
right
this,
back into kindness.
right, and if you're being kind, there's always things undone. If you're being just, many things are left to be done. The
Yep.
moral man does something, and when no one responds, he rolls up his sleeves and uses force. The
Yeah.
argument that you have, if the argument you have is moral, and you believe it's moral, then you are going to want other people to
Bend.
adhere to that standard and fit that standard because it's a moral issue.
Yes. Yes.
Now, the way that this is kind of laid out is really beautiful because each one, kind, just, and moral, they something we look at it in a slightly different way. And the way that that's written out is really beautiful. When the Tao is lost, there is goodness. When goodness is lost, there is morality. When morality is lost, there is ritual. Ritual is the husk of true faith, the beginning of chaos.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
There's so many places you can go with that.
So we start with the Tao, and the Tao moves into goodness. So, right, like the Tao is trust in all things are going
Mhm.
to be as they are and are neutral. But
Right.
then when we lose touch with that, it moves into goodness, where it's just like, okay, well, let's get an agreement of what goodness is. What does it mean to be good? What does it mean to be a good person, right? And then we get all of the kind of trappings of goodness. But then goodness leads into morality. Now we go back to this idea of like, now this is going to be forceful because if people don't listen to the moral man, he gets forceful. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So when we lose goodness, when people are not good, we move into morality, and we can think about the 1930s and prohibition. Right? Everybody was good, and then it was just like as soon as people started like falling off, and like, oh look, like people are becoming drunks, like we need prohibition. Prohibition was a moral stance.
Well, yeah, and it has more behind it than even that, but it was about trying to control people with morality. It was started from the women who saw,
Yeah, the
uh,
suffragettes and the yeah.
well, no, it came from women being abused. And so a bunch of those organizations identifying that realized it was alcohol that was the problem and
So
bringing them.
then, so then, re-legalizing alcohol just brought that back in. No,
No,
I
I
don't think. Like, no, yeah, they
that's where I
argued
think
it
it's
from
interesting.
right. They argued it from a moral stance,
Right,
right?
exactly.
And
Yeah.
there, that's where the moral man does something, and when no one responds, he rolls up his sleeves and uses force, right? Like
But it
that's
came
what.
from the idea of goodness, right? If they don't have the alcohol and they're good and the goodness of them is shown because there's no alcohol, they won't beat their wives. And then that led into the next thing, which I feel like this really highlights is, they came from everybody, of the Tao, right? And then they leaned into goodness. Well, that wasn't working. So we're going to lean into morality. We're going to make
Right.
that, and then we're going to lean into. But it started from a place of trust. Like you get married, you get a place
Hmm.
of trust that someone's not going to hurt you. Then it becomes this. Okay, what is the element that's taking away kindness? And so we're going to have goodness. So then we're going to have to make that moral. Then we're going to have to. It
Go
becomes
into ritual. The next
yes,
phase is
yep,
ritual.
yep.
And
We're
then
going.
ritual is like, okay, well, we're going to make sure that we're going to church, and we're going to make sure that we're
Yep.
doing all of these things that
Yes.
make us good people, right? Like as long as
Yes.
you can see that I'm a good person because I have ritual, then
Right.
we're good. And then ritual is the husk of good faith, of true
Hmm.
faith, the beginning
Hmm.
of chaos, right?
Yeah.
Faith in something. Faith is a human word for something that a human can't really attain. Like this blind faith, this like faith in like something outside of themselves that is ever changing.
Yeah, I mean that's why I mean when I talk about intuition, it there's so many different ways people explain it for themselves to wrap
Right.
their heads around it and have so many
Right.
questions about it. And then it starts to fall into religion, in which sense I talk about it in the business sense. I don't really lean too much in the religious sense in that. So, that's such an important point is that faith, that ability to lean into that is a real challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the beginning of chaos.
Yeah.
Like,
And well,
right? Like,
okay, so let's think about it back in what we were talking about, not drinking. So we have
you're running out
everybody.
of time, but you can come
Yeah.
back on.
Okay. You trust. You decide, oh, we're gonna implement what goodness is. We're gonna do the morality. We're gonna add in ritual. Then what had happened? They all went behind everyone's back and started
Right.
sneaking in and making their own alcohol to get around the rules and the rituals. And then they
Yeah.
still played nice.
And that is chaos. Oh, Allison's on. I'm gonna see Allison if Catherine's gonna come back on briefly. But we wrapped up that really nicely. There is a little bit more, but I think we're good. Okay, we're gonna go with Allison. All right. What a good one. Thank you, Catherine, so much. That was we unpacked that I think really well. Allison, how are you doing?
Good. I want to say salutations to my two buddies here.
Yeah, this is like I love Dow of the Day. It's just like buddy time. Buddy time. I get all my buddies on, people who know I'm doing this.
Just wanted to come on, and I am just express my gratitude for synchronicity and the ability to connect with yourself and Catherine and all the other people that we've connected with. I just feel it's like my own Tao,
Yeah.
to be connected to individuals who are pensive and kind, and it's just great. It's just great.
Do me a favor. Define pensive for me. I'm not a vocabulary guy, but I always thought pensive was not a good thing. I don't. Can you
No,
define it?
just thoughtful. Just
Oh, okay.
thoughtful. Like,
Okay.
just like thinking about things and just allowing thought to be thought in and of itself and not to be something that is,
Oh, that's
you
beautiful.
know,
Yes, I concur.
spanning ideas. That's all. That's all I wanted to
Yes.
say. I just was like, you know what? This is so and the interesting thing is, as I was just on Instagram talking about the receiving mode, which is what you're talking about. You're talking
Yeah.
about how can you get into a mode of receiving and not action based and doing actions to prove a point and prove your morality and be good, but just chillax, man, chillax.
Yeah. Receiving. I've been saying this a lot lately. Receiving should be an Olympic sport.
Yeah,
Like it
right.
is, it is a skill that we need to practice, and receiving is not easy. Like we are so not accustomed to receiving.
No, but I liked my own analogy to toot my own horn because I had my ukulele and I was like, thinking about the strings, and when you play the strings, the instrument itself has an infinite amount of songs that can be played on it, right? It's an instrument. It's like it depends on who's playing it.
Right.
In the same sort of analogous way, we have a body, and it can be quote unquote played in many different ways. It can be depends on the vibration. It depends on the expertise of the musician. But essentially, we are all instruments. We are vibrational instruments that depends on how adept we are at these kinds of concepts to you know
Get the most out of the tool.
yeah, what is our melody, what is our song, what are we
And
playing?
right. And are we just going back to the same? Are we just playing scales because we learned how to play scales? Or are we gonna utilize the scales that we learned to compose something with our lives and compose something within ourselves, and to like dive into the complexities? And either way, it's beautiful. But
Yeah.
sometimes people just like they play the same ditty.
Right, right. Are you playing the same song repeatedly going, there are no other songs in this instrument?
Right. Yeah. This instrument
There's
didn't give
infinite
me.
songs.
There's what?
There's infinite songs in this
Right.
instrument of we call
Absolutely.
human being.
Yeah. And if we can embrace just the fact that just making a single different choice or just pausing can just open ourselves up to a different melody.
Yep.
That's beautiful. Do me a favor
Well,
and pick a
yeah.
number. You don't have to stick
Oh,
around
really?
for it.
Okay, I'll pick a number and then I will listen because I'm off to the health club. So let's see.
Yep.
How about 11?
11. I love 11. I read it the other day. So thank you so much, and we will talk soon.
Okay.
Okay. We join spokes together in a wheel, but it is the center hole that makes the wagon move. We shape clay into a pot, but it is the emptiness inside that holds whatever we want. We hammer wood for a house, but it is the inner space that makes it livable. We work with being, but non-being is what we use. And in speaking with Allison, we were talking about this idea of receiving, right? Like, it's so easy to receive a card or a gift or something like that, like something physical. But it is in the receiving of, attention, or it's the receiving of space that gets used. It is the receiving of that. Like, once we have the attention of somebody, we can speak and be heard, right? Without receiving that, if we are too busy thinking about speaking, then ain't nobody gonna listen, right? We want to be able to, like as this verse goes, we join spokes together in a wheel, but it's the center hole that makes the wagon move. Those spokes could be just information, right? We have all of this information, but it is the space that we allow other people to enter that we can actually move conversation forward. We also look at a ukulele, as Allison was talking about, right? And like, those strings, yeah, they're great, and they do a thing, but it is the hole and the space inside of the ukulele that makes it, like, audible, right? It is the space, and it is the actual moving of the air that makes the sound, right? If there was no air, it would have no sound, right? So it is that space that actually makes the sound, and that's what makes the ukulele, worth its weight. If we didn't have space, it wouldn't be able to make a sound. And that's something that we can, like how beautiful is that, right? It is the sound, it is the space inside of the ukulele, and it is the space around us, right? So that's the space inside is the amplifier, and then as it exits, it moves air between our ears and it to allow it to be. Like, in order for us to hear it, we need that space. Like, yes, okay, we need the ukulele just like we need the walls to make a room, right? But it is the space that we use in order to hear. We shape clay into a pot, but it's the emptiness inside that holds whatever we want, right? And if we are that pot, like, we can be shaped in any way, right? So no matter what shape or size or whatever you are, if you're a blade of grass or if you're a human being going to space, if you are closed-minded, if you are filled with correctness, if you are filled, like we were talking with Catherine, morality or justness, then immediately, like, you lose the amount of space that you have within you, and you can't hold whatever you want. You can only hold that which you've decided is worth your time to hold. We hammer wood into a house, but it is the inner space that makes it livable. I told a story about this a couple days ago about my experience, really understanding the blessing that four walls gives you. We work with being, but non-being is what we use. Like, you go out in your life and you are going to be, but the more you can let go of the identity of that, the more you're able to be open to all that is and all that you can be, and use your life completely as it is. I want to thank Allison and Catherine today. You guys are awesome. I love my team. If there's anybody else out there that wants to jump on and give me a number, this is Friday. I won't be doing them on Saturdays and Sundays, or I don't traditionally. And so I would love if someone would pop on. If nobody wants to, I'll pick another number. It was interesting. I picked a number today already. Let me see if I can remind myself of what number it was, because I think I'd like to go through that. Because I pick a number on the odd occasion. It was 54. All right, so I picked 54. Let's go to 54. I'm going to check and see if my cat went away. Nope. I mean, the sleeping cat on the Wisdom app. Whoever is planted in the Tao will not be rooted up. Whoever embraces the Tao will not slip away. Her name will be held in honor from generation to generation. Like the Tao, be present in your life and you will become genuine. Let it be present in your family and your family will flourish. Let the Tao be present in your country and your country will be an example to all countries in the world. Let the Tao be present in the universe and the universe will sing. How do I know this to be true? By looking inside myself. Whoever is planted in the Tao will not be rooted up. If we take the concept of being rooted up, how many of you have been rooted up recently, right? I look at being rooted up as you can be a number of things, but being triggered, right? Like when you go from being yourself to being to having blinders on and not being able to respond in the way that you want to respond. You're being controlled by things around you, under the influence of your parents, your bosses, your teachers, your society, your neighbor, all of these things, right? Like you can't be rooted up when you are centered in the Tao. When you're planted in the Tao, you're rooted in the Tao, and so you can't be pulled up like a grand oak tree, right? Like you're not just going to be pulled out of the ground. You are rooted, and you know who you are. Whoever embraces the Tao will not slip away. Slipping away is it's a phrase, and so we have to be able to unwrap that so we can understand. Well, if we embrace the Tao, this won't happen. And slipping away, I know I slipped away during my addiction. I wasn't centered in the Tao then. I've slipped away other times, like in being triggered or when I went down a wrong path that, I thought might be a shortcut, but ended up having turned back. Slipping away could look a lot of different ways. You just lose yourself. Her name will be held in honor from generation to generation. So that's the thing, so many people want to go out and make a name for themselves. But I think if you are who you are, then you are going to make a difference in the world. And you don't have to try to make a difference in the world. If you're out there trying to make a difference, well, you may very easily find a lot of obstacles. For me, I just kind of do my work and put it out there, and I try to not try so hard. I really want to just leave the trying to what happens. It's not always easy to do that, but I get better at it all the time. Let the Tao be present in your life and you will become genuine. If you can, this is the thing. I think, there are a lot of times I've been told I'm intense. I've been told that, I'm noticed, people see me, but it's coming from a space of just being genuine and loving and kind. And, I have been reading the Tao for a long time, not that, so it is present in my life. I'm not always that way, but I know when I can achieve that, it is when I feel the most in touch. Let it be present in your family, and your family will flourish. Right? If you pass this on, I know I've talked to Allison about this and her kids and how she brings, concepts that we talk about into her parenting style. And that's amazing. And I even expressed recently how grateful I was that she was raising children with these ideas. Let it be present in your country, and your country will be an example. See, that's the thing, I was born and raised in the United States. I was born and raised in Chicago. And, I've always seen myself as a Chicagoan, not an American. And that may upset some people, whatever. I mean, I have plans of moving to Spain, so it's not as if like I'm gonna be here forever. I'll get out of your hair real easily. But the thing is I was proud of Chicago. I was never proud to be an American. I was never proud to be a United States citizen. There are very few points where I kind of back to the United States. We've done so poorly with our role in the world, and I do believe that if there was more Tao in this country, if we did live from a place of the Tao, that I would be proud to be an example, and that I wouldn't be utilized in marketing, right? Like, this is what an American is, whatever, like I've never, and I know Catherine talks a lot about sovereignty, and I'm big on sovereignty. Not that I need to call it that, right? Like, I'm big on sovereignty in my own right? Like, I am myself, and that is that, and I achieve that through ideas and ideals that come from things like the Tao, not sovereignty sort of ideas, but I am a firm believer of sovereignty, and I'm not sure, and I haven't talked to Catherine about her sovereignty stuff, so it may very well be equal. And I'm such a fan of being as the Tao kind of states, and just kind of being present. Let it be present in your country, said that one. All country will be an example of all country. Let it be present in the universe, and the universe will sing. This is really interesting, because the universe has been singing to me for quite some time, and increasingly so in my life. And I am in awe of the songs that play through the universe, and the universe speaks to me almost on a daily basis. And that is something that really I can't ignore. And I'm so glad. I'm so glad. I'm so glad that the Tao is with me, because I have so much trouble like expressing how magical my life is in the first place. Then, oh, somebody was just on. I was about to get you on. If you just left, or if that was a mistake, either way, you're good. Like, I'll keep checking. I was just about to let somebody on, but they slipped out. Okay. And then the last two lines here is, how do I know it to be true? By looking inside of myself, right? And that's everything. That's where everything is. As I finish this up, if anybody wants to come on, like I said, I did see somebody peeking in, but I wasn't fast enough. As I was going to push it, I saw you disappear. So if you want to come on, please do. Otherwise, how do I know this to be true? By looking inside of myself. I remember when I read this, I was, like early in sobriety, the first time I read it, by looking inside of myself. And that was, before that moment, before I read this for the first time, like, things that were true were proven by other people. Like, in order for you to be telling the truth, I have to know it from somebody else. And when I read this, I realized that actually the truth doesn't exist because of somebody else. The truth exists because I see it, and I see it within me. And I have used that as a defense for my words in the past. I've been like, and people be like, well, why do you say that? And I was just like, well, that's, like, and I don't want to say like I feel it and so it's true, but like, there are things where I'll kind of, I'll be in a space where I'll be like, yes, this is truth, and that truth is exists because it exists within me, and that is just about bringing the Tao close and like having it in every aspect of your life. and bringing it to your family, bringing it into your work, bringing it into your being, and allowing the universe to sing. And when the universe sings, it sings for you, right? Like I have experienced, like, the universe has written songs for me, and those songs are beautiful. All right. Well, if anybody wants to come on and pick a number between 1 and 81, we can talk about another chapter of the Tao. Otherwise, I'll be wrapping up. We had two wonderful guests, the regulars, Catherine and Allison. Love you ladies so much. It's so wonderful to be sharing all of these things with you. And I appreciate anybody that's listening and all of the people that have contributed in the past and will contribute in the future. I hope you're with me. This is a Recover Yourself production. I'm your host, Martin John. And until next time, keep recovering yourself.